Current Max Holloway versus the top 15 UFC ranked lightweights. This was recommended to me yesterday, and I thought Max Holloway looks pretty good right now, but people have questions over whether he's in his prime. Can he win that belt back? So let's rank his opponents using the following categories. Destroys Max, meaning they absolutely destroy Max. I don't favour Max Holloway to beat them at all, and I don't think it'd be competitive. Beats Max, meaning I think they would beat Max Holloway, but it's a pretty close fight. Max can give them some trouble, and I wouldn't say they absolutely run through him. High chance means they have a pretty high chance of beating Max. I'd put it more to 50-50, and I'd slightly lean to Max Holloway. Can compete, meaning they can compete with Max, give him some trouble, but ultimately Max Holloway would beat them fairly comfortably. And pray for that man, meaning, dear God, pray for that man. They have absolutely no chance of beating Max Holloway. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Charles Oliveira, going to go straight up into can compete. Right, and already, I know I might get cut for this opinion. Charles Oliveira has a bad style, in the sense that it's not going to do well against Max Holloway. Max Holloway is a nightmare matchup for Charles Oliveira. I wouldn't say Charles Oliveira is prey for that man, because let's not pretend he has absolutely nothing for Max. He absolutely can compete. Some people probably would put him in high chance. But the fact of the matter is this. Charles Oliveira is a very skilled fighter, very skilled mixed martial artist, very good jiu-jitsu, elite level jiu-jitsu. And if he can take Max Holloway down, there's big problems. But Max is a very good anti-wrestler. It's not like Oliveira's got ridiculously good chain wrestling, but if he can smother Max against the fence and take him down, I can see something happening there. But on the feet, you just can't fight like Charles Oliveira and beat Max Holloway. You just can't fight like that. You just can't. You can't walk forward, tight guard, not moving your head, relying on calf kicks, teep kicks, straight punches, 1-2s. It's too untechnical for Max Holloway. It's too basic. You've got to have more. You've got to be able to feint heavily, aggressively, move your head, make the fight erratic, match Max Holloway's pace. Oliveira's too slow for Max, in my opinion. So while it's not like Oliveira's not got a skill set to give Max trouble, I honestly think Max Holloway is a terrible stylistic matchup for Charles Oliveira. And if they fight next, which they very well could, I honestly think everyone will see why. Everyone will see why. Even if a very good version of Oliveira shows up, Holloway's crisp boxing, fast combinations, good takedown defence, elite level cardio, it'll be too much for Charles. And I think he will TKO him as well, by the way. I think he's going to stop Charles Oliveira. Dan Hooker. Pray for that man. Max Holloway beat the shit out of Dan Hooker. Actually, I'm going to put Dan Hooker in can compete. Because in some areas, I'm sure Dan Hooker can compete with Max Holloway. He's powerful. He's got pretty decent entries. Like, he's got different things he can throw at Max. His head kicks and round kicks to the body are pretty good. But ultimately, it's like Charles Oliveira, but a bit less, way less than Oliveira. Like, if I had to put this in like a bullet points, Dan Hooker would be way over here compared to Charles. Maybe I'm on the verge of putting him in prey for that man, to be honest with you. It's not like Dan Hooker's a bad fighter, but again, he's not fast enough for Max. He's not technical enough with his head movement and defensively. And it'd just be one of those fights where over the course of the fight, Max Holloway would just pick up the volume, pick up the momentum, land on Dan Hooker over and over and over again. Hooker would try and make it a scrap. Whenever Holloway cracks him clean, Hooker's going to swing back. But he beat the shit out of Dan Hooker and TKO him, in my opinion. I really think Max Holloway is a bad stylistic matchup for both Charles Oliveira and Dan Hooker. But definitely more so Dan Hooker. So, moving on last, we've got Joel Alvarez. Can compete, slightly above Dan Hooker. Now, Joel Alvarez I rate very highly. Very tall, very long, powerful, pretty fast as well. Very good movement, very good kicks, very dynamic with his entries. He's very good, Joel Alvarez. I like him. I know he lost to Arman and that was the only time we've seen Joel Alvarez step up a level. But I really do rate Joel Alvarez's skills, and I think he's going to be a problem in the future. It's just that he hasn't proven enough yet to say he'd have a very high chance of beating Max. Definitely not beats Max, definitely not destroys Max. He's got to go down and can compete. But I think Joel Alvarez is very skilled. It's just he hasn't proven enough yet at the highest level to say he could cope with Max Holloway. Because for all we know, Alvarez might just be a long-range Spanish guy that actually isn't very good. That's for all we know. But I think he is very good. We just need to see in the future. Arman Tsarukyan. He beats Max. I think he would beat Max. Now, I said before about Charles Oliveira, who was able to out-grapple Arman Tsarukyan in many ways. But Oliveira's different. He's different when he's working off his back or when you're shooting in on him, and then he can out-clinch you and out-scramble you from there and look for submissions. That's where it's different for Oliveira. When Arman Tsarukyan's shooting in on you, whereas he's shooting in on Max Holloway, he's elite. Elite level chain wrestling, ridiculously athletic. I wouldn't say he destroys Max, because there's every chance he fails a couple of takedowns. Max has a bit of success on him. Max's straight punches will be a problem for Arman. Arman's going to massively struggle to get his jab going, and sometimes he can be very singular with his punches, and he can wait for you a bit too much, Arman Tsarukyan can. But when Arman is leading the dance, and is coming in with axe kicks, looking to feint under the jab into a takedown, he doesn't get discouraged if you stuff a couple of his takedowns. He'll keep doing it. Elite level chain wrestling, very athletic, very good jiu-jitsu. I think he'd beat Max to like a decision. I don't think he'd finish Max. I don't know if he'd submit him. He's also pretty powerful. And Arman is very fast with his combinations. Nowhere near as crisp as Max. But if he can start getting Max to the ground, that fight changes. That fight does change. Max will be a little bit more cautious. And I know I mentioned this point about Oliveira and Max. And I kind of said, well, Charles Oliveira's not going to be able to take Max down. And while I do think that would be the case, we have never seen Max face someone with elite level chain wrestling like Arman, and someone as big as Arman too, as heavy as him. Someone with elite level chain wrestling, or someone just with elite level initial shots like Ilia Topuria, was able to take Max Holloway down fairly comfortably. Wasn't able to do much there, but he did take him down. And he took Max Holloway down just to show Max, I have this if I need it. And that's what I felt like Ilia Topuria used that for against Max, just to show him, I have this if I need it. Whereas Arman's going to be actively pursuing it, whether the fans think it's boring or not, throughout the fight. So I think Arman would beat Max. It'd be competitive, but I think he'd beat Max Holloway. Beneil Dariush, pray for that man. Don't really need to explain this one much. So same with Grant Dawson, if I can stop stuttering like an idiot. Grant Dawson's not proven enough. He's also very chinny. Pretty good freestyle wrestling, but it's not like he's got elite level chain wrestling. I think he'd try and beat Max Holloway, but again, I just don't think he has enough, and he hasn't shown enough to say beat Max Holloway. Dariush just is not technical enough. There's a certain style of wrestler that, while Dariush is very good in the scrambles, it's not going to matter because Max isn't going to try and take him down. So Beneil Dariush often flourishes. If you're trying to take him down, he can out-scramble you and build momentum from there. Dariush is not technical enough to land a left overhand on Max Holloway. He might land it once or twice, but Max has still got a pretty good chin. Yes, I think Beneil could hurt him, but he doesn't have the technical prowess to follow up and finish Max. It's going to take more than just one big bomb of a left overhand to sit down Max Holloway and put his lights out for good. Unless Holloway's chin just goes at some point. But from what we know, it hasn't. And Max Holloway, in my opinion, would absolutely run through Beneil Dariush pretty easily. Mateusz Gamrot. Mateusz Gamrot's going to go in high chance or can compete. Mateusz Gamrot's going to go in high chance. Now, I always mention this with Gamrot. Max Holloway absolutely has a style that he can start forcing Mateusz Gamrot to panic shoot on him. If he stuffs Gamrot's takedown attempts early, and believe me, very early, Gamrot will be trying to take this fight to the ground, he can absolutely build momentum, push Mateusz Gamrot on the back foot, and work from there. But Max Holloway shifting his style as of late, I actually don't think would fare that well early against Gamrot. Because Gamrot's going to come in, Holloway will be circling on the back foot. He's more of a power puncher now. He's he used to be more, not flat-footed, but he used to just pressure you more and work more and throw way more volume, and not every shot would have power behind it. And I think that kind of style from Max Holloway would really fluster Mateusz Gamrot, especially if he stuffs Gamrot's initial shots. But while I think Max Holloway might be able to stuff a couple of Mateusz Gamrot's takedowns, and while I think he absolutely would piece Gamrot up on the feet, because Gamrot can be very erratic and Gamrot can get very careless and very flustered if you're pressuring him back and you're landing shots on him, then you can force him to panic shoot, and then from there, Gamrot can slow down. I absolutely think that's how this fight could go, but I think it's pretty much 50-50, especially when they're both fresh, and especially if Max Holloway starts off on the back foot. So it all depends with this fight, what kind of approach Max Holloway takes. If there's a very clear pathway to victory I see Max Holloway having against Mateusz Gamrot, But ultimately, I think Mateusz Gamrot, I'd slightly lean to Max Holloway right now. I really think Mateusz Gamrot deserves another chance at breaking into that top end of the division. I know he lost to Dan Hooker. I thought Gamrot won at the time. I've not watched it again since. It was a pretty good fight. Dan Hooker, it wasn't a robbery or anything. But I'd like to see Gamrot get another crack at the top end. It's just that I feel like because Gamrot's not a big name, people can avoid fighting him. But I think he's really good, Gamrot. And he's improving each fight. He's got some good wins in his career. Obviously, I don't think he beat Arman Tsarukyan, as you all know. For anybody that's watched this page for a while, I think Arman Tsarukyan absolutely beat Gamrot. He got kind of schooled by Dariush, but Gamrot's good. He's inconsistent at times with his performances, and he just needs a bit more composure. And I think he can break into that top end. But yeah, Gamrot, I think I'd give a high chance. I think he can absolutely give Max Holloway a ton of trouble, but I'd slightly lean Max. Rafael Fiziev can compete. Max Holloway's output is way too much for Rafael Fiziev. Now, Fiziev, on a technical level, in the first round, let's say it was a one-round fight, right, which is not how it works, but just bear with me. He's going up there. I'm well aware that that's not how it works, but he's going up there, high chance. He's very technical, Rafael Fiziev. Very good counters, very good singular counters, a good counter right overhand, good in either stance, pretty good oblique kicks, very good side kicks to the knee. He's very good, Rafael Fiziev. Defensively, he's very, very good. He does not fight at a pace that Max Holloway would not absolutely exploit. What I'm saying is, Fiziev cannot fight at Max Holloway's pace. He cannot cope with it over the course of a 3-round fight. If it was a 1-round fight, Fiziev, I think, can hang with any striker in the world, if not beat them. On a technical level, he's as good, if not better in some areas, than Max Holloway. He has a pretty decent chin, so I don't know if Max Holloway is going to absolutely flatten him in this fight. But the longer this fight goes, the more it suits Max. Also, Max, he's not got a long reach, Max Holloway. That could be a problem. In that sort of mid-range when Fiziev's fresh, and Fiziev can counter over with looping shots, move his head, and then maybe throw a round kick to the body while Max is looking to exit off. I think Fiziev would have a lot of success early, but I wouldn't put him in high chance because I know for a fact if this was a 5-round fight, Max Holloway, which it would be, right? Max Holloway, all these fights on this list are 5-round fights in my mind. That's how I'm basing it. In a 5-round fight, Max Holloway would beat the fuck out of Rafael Fiziev. He would. After round 3, that fight gets horrendously bad for Rafael Fiziev. Holloway's going to be kicking to the body. Holloway's going to be constantly throwing different feints out there. He's so fast with his combinations, it's going to be hard for Fiziev to time and counter. And the more Fiziev's having to do it, the more Max Holloway's moving, kicking, moving, burst of combinations, feints, burst of combinations. The more Holloway's doing it, the more wild Fiziev's going to get, the more reactive Fiziev's going to get, and the more slowed down Fiziev's going to get in this fight. And I think Holloway eventually would really start to drown out Rafael Fiziev. There's just a certain level of thinking and energy you have to expend when you're fighting Max Holloway. And he's not got a takedown threat like someone like Gamrot. And the reason why I've put Gamrot a bit higher is, again, that takedown threat, that wrestling acumen of Gamrot, I think could give Holloway a lot of trouble. More trouble than the striking acumen of Rafael Fiziev can give to Max Holloway. So that's my reasoning behind that. I really rate Rafael Fiziev, but I just don't think he can match Max Holloway's pace, and I just don't think he'd go the whole fight without eventually getting drowned out, especially rounds 4 and 5. Like, how would Rafael Fiziev look in rounds 4 and 5 against Max Holloway? You know what I'm trying to say? There's only a certain few fighters that can push Max Holloway to that level. So moving on. Michael Chandler, pray for that man. Dear God, dear God, dear God Almighty, my thoughts and prayers are with Michael Chandler's family if this fight got booked right now. Like I keep mentioning, I think Chandler's done, so he looks more hesitant than ever. His fights aren't even like absolute barn burner wars where Chandler looks like he comes for a fun fight, gives you a hellish first round. Now he looks like just done. Really, really done. Hesitant, more hesitant than ever. He couldn't get past Paddy Pimblett's flared elbowed jab. Paddy Pimblett's literally jabbing at him like that, flaring the elbow, not sitting in on his jab. Imagine Max Holloway doubling up his jab behind a straight right hand against Michael Chandler. Chandler's got very good takedown, so maybe he could go that route. It's not going to work against Max. He's not got elite level chain wrestling. He couldn't do that for long either because he'd gas out pretty quickly. Too wild on the feet, leaves his head on centre line. Holloway smokes him 2 rounds or maybe even less. He absolutely destroys Michael Chandler, no questions asked. Benoit Saint-Denis, same thing, absolutely destroys Benoit Saint-Denis. Benoit Saint-Denis, I've come to realise, doesn't excel at anything, right? Very well-rounded, very skilled. I have no doubt Benoit Saint-Denis is going to be the guy in your career that if you could get past in comfortable fashion, you're a future champion. And if you can't get past him without having it be in a competitive fight, you'll probably be a top contender. And if you don't beat him, you probably won't break into the top 10. That's how I view Benoit Saint-Denis at this stage of his career. Very good grappling, pretty decent striking, nothing special, not enough to beat Max Holloway. It's just not enough. It's just not enough. I really don't think that's a hot take. Paddy Pimblett. Max has a really bad style for Paddy. I'm going to put Paddy can compete because Paddy's powerful, he's physical, and he's quite big, and he's got elite level jiu-jitsu, and he's also very good in the clinch. If Paddy can make this an ugly fight, I think he could have success, but he keeps his chin in the air, doesn't really move his head off centre line. His actual initial wrestling, like his initial shot, isn't of the elite level where it's elite like Gamrot's chain wrestling or Arman's chain wrestling. He's going to massively struggle to get Max Holloway to the ground if they fought. And I really believe Max Holloway on the feet has a really, really bad style for Paddy Pimblett. Whether it's his quick combinations, they're too much for Paddy, they'd overwhelm Paddy. He can circle round Paddy and pick off at him. He's got better distance management than Paddy. Paddy, again, he flares his jabs and it'll be very obvious for Max Holloway to see coming. A lot of his counters can be wild and winging. And also, Paddy, he'll leave himself off balance when he exchanges and he'll always look to reset heavily. You can't do that against Max. You can't reset against Max Holloway a lot of the time. And once Max Holloway starts smelling that's when you need to reset and that's when you need to get yourself readjusted. That's when Max will start timing in the combination bursts even more and he'll start picking up the volume and he'll just get the better of you that way. So Max Holloway will just beat you that way, to be honest with you. Justin Gaethje can compete. He can compete with Max. But Max Holloway was a lot better than Justin Gaethje, and it showed. Gaethje does have a very good striking coach in Trevor Whitman. He does. Trevor Whitman is a very good striking coach. Justin Gaethje hits very hard. He has very good calf kicks. But he's not fast enough to keep up with Max Holloway. I honestly think Max Holloway, at the time, I predicted Max Holloway to beat Justin Gaethje by a decision. I had a bet on. I almost won over $1,000 because of this bet. And I lost it because I had Max Holloway by decision and he won in the last second with a knockout. So everyone loved that KO. I myself was caught in between loving it and feeling very, very sad that I lost out on so much money. Absolutely insane stuff. But Max Holloway on a technical level was just far superior to Gaethje. Gaethje's getting older. He's kind of lost momentum in his career, in my opinion. Although he did just beat Rafael Fiziev, he's kind of losing momentum. I'll put Gaethje above Hooker and Pimblett. I'll put Pimblett above Hooker, put Gaethje above Pimblett, Alvarez below Gaethje. Yeah, I think that's fair. Justin Gaethje is very, very good. Again, it's just that Holloway has a very bad style for Gaethje. Gaethje's going to strike with Holloway. He's not going to take him down. Gaethje often plants in place when he looks to counter an exchange. It's just that there's that level of footwork Gaethje just doesn't have, and he never has. Like, Gaethje will dip in, duck down, stand in place, and then wing a right overhand into a left hook, and then maybe explode with a right low kick. But against Max Holloway, what he struggled with, and he would absolutely struggle with again, is staying in place, countering, and Max Holloway just takes half a step back and throws the straight right hand. Keeps his punches straight, Gaethje keeps his more winging, and Holloway steps in to his punches better, he exits out on his punches better, he angles off defensively better. He's just better than Justin Gaethje on the feet, and that's something Gaethje is just going to massively struggle with. Holloway on a technical level is just far superior than him. Islam Makhachev, he will go right up, and he's still ranked, Islam Makhachev, that's why I'm using him. Above Arman, he beats Max. Some people might put him up there. I'm probably, just to give more respect to Max, going to put him in beats Max. I honestly think Islam Makhachev would beat Max Holloway, but there is an avenue to success I see Max having. Islam's chain wrestling's too much for Max. His finishing threat on the top is too much for Max. The takedown threat alone will make Max Holloway fight differently, because Islam Makhachev, Arman Tsarukyan, still in his career, doesn't have that fear factor of the takedown Islam Makhachev does have. It's similar to sort of Khabib, just a bit less. But then on the feet, Islam's also very good. Southpaw against orthodox. The round kick to the body for Islam is going to be there, and he has a very good round kick to the body. Pretty decent straight punches. Again, Islam does reset a lot on the feet though, and he can get away with it because of the takedown threat. But if he can't take Max down and he starts resetting after he maybe gets a little bit wild, that sort of technique starts to leave him. Because when Islam Makhachev commits with combinations, he'll throw a pretty good one too. But then when the right hook and the left hook starts coming behind it, we start seeing him become a little bit less technical. But again, he gets away with it because he's so elite on the ground. And anytime Max does start having success on the ground, on the feet, Islam will shoot. So even if Max stuffs Islam's takedowns, and that's a very big if, Islam's going to keep shooting no matter what. If the fight gets super dicey for him on the feet, Islam can adapt into it and change up his approach. You know, Islam doesn't just have one way of fighting, Max does. Max's way of fighting is elite level, but Islam Makhachev's way of fighting is multiple and all elite. He can compete with Max on the feet because it's evened up because of the takedown threat, and Islam's also very fast on the feet and powerful, and he's just elite level with his timing and his entries, and he can cover distance even better than Gamrot and Arman. The way he can shoot a single leg from distance is insane and time it perfectly. So even if Max is looking to keep more distance in this fight and circle off and pick Islam off, that approach for me would be wrong. But even if he comes in more flat-footed, trying to parry Islam's jabs, trying to pressure Islam back, I think he'd have more success doing that. But I still don't think it's enough. And Ilia Topuria would beat Max a bit less comfortably than Islam. Their first fight was competitive. I still think it'd be competitive at lightweight. I said this in my Holloway beats Poirier reaction video that, yeah, Ilia Topuria, when he fought Max Holloway, it felt like Holloway was missing those round kicks to the body. And he kind of used the oblique kick to Ilia Topuria and the side kick to the knee when Ilia Topuria was looking to jab to the body or step in with the jab. It's been broken down before, that's what I saw it as. And it was, you know, whoever, I can't remember who broke it down, but it was really well put. When Ilia had looked to step in with a jab, Max is picking off with that side kick to the knee and using it really, really well to stop Ilia from gaining momentum. But while I think it would be better for Ilia Topuria while I think it'd be better for Max Holloway to fight Ilia Topuria, circling, round kicks to the body, combination, straight punches, while I think it'd be better for Max Holloway to do that, and I think that would be the approach he would take if they fought again, a lot more shots to the body to wear down the arms of Ilia. And while I still think Max Holloway can take a round or two off Ilia, the difference between these two is always going to be, in the pocket, Max just can't fuck with Ilia there. He just can't, and that's where Max excels. And he's not got a super long reach to where he can keep his punches straight from distance, so you'll often see him, when he has to get Ilia, when he has to exchange with Ilia, he'll go to the pocket to try and catch Ilia there. He'll come in with straight punches and some hooks behind it. And Max doesn't move his head off centre line when he commits with offence. And ultimately, that's what's going to get him unstuck in this fight. And he doesn't always exit out responsibly. That showed when Ilia first rocked him. He doesn't always stay switched on defensively. He can get careless. He can move to southpaw when he shouldn't have, which is what he did against Ilia. And ultimately, Max isn't going to be pressuring Ilia back. And another thing he can't do against Ilia is control the pace of the fight. He couldn't do it in the first fight, and I don't think he'd be able to do it if they fought again. And ultimately, Ilia's shown he's the only guy in Max Holloway's career that can put him down and sleep him. That would no doubt be playing on Max Holloway's mind if they fought again. Max knows he can put him out, and Max knows that he can put him out, and Max knows that Ilia Topuria was the only one to do it, and he knows he could do it again. For me, that would affect the fight if they fought again. And Ilia Topuria's just got the momentum right now. I think Max Holloway is very good, but when it comes to Islam Makhachev, Ilia Topuria, kind of Arman, but especially the top two, Islam and Ilia, Max has had his time. These two truly are the elite of the elite of the elite. And I didn't mention Ilia's also elite on the ground. So there is that too. Thank you all very much for watching. Let me know what you thought about this video. Obviously, it's a bit quicker than the others. Usually I spend about half an hour, 40 minutes, but short and sweet this time. Thank you all very much for watching. Let me know what you want to see next. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff I'm supposed to say. Goodbye, everybody.